tuning in, the time right now is 10:32, but we know 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies, they were killed. This was an explosion that happened in Monterey Park. This is the LASD training facility, and we also have KCAL News reporter Rick Montanez. He's live there at the scene. Rick, you've been able to talk to witnesses. What are they saying to you at this moment?
Yeah, Chris, I talked with the man who works at the facility, not the training facility, but works on this campus, this LA County campus, because remember, it's the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department. They also have emergency operations teams that are on this area. That is up the street from where we are. So we are on Eastern Avenue right now, right at Mariana Avenue, where the road is closed, leading up to that main entrance to the LA County facility. And so the man I talked with earlier, he's worked on this county facility for 2 decades. He says over the years he's heard training go on, and the way his coworkers described to him what it was like, they knew that this was very different. They immediately knew something was wrong. Take a listen to what he told me just a short time ago.
Actually, one of the guys just said he heard a loud explosion, and actually he was inside the facility, which is usually when you're outside you hear them, but when you're inside you rarely hear anything. But he heard a loud explosion, and when he went out there was a bunch of sheriff deputies already on site. The first thing that came to my mind was just unfortunately the families, and my heart goes out to them, and yeah, just prayers for the family, and it's just definitely a sad day for a lot of the guys that found out so far. 3 sheriff deputies passed away.
To their families, certainly their friends, their colleagues, to the community here, because we know that not only the sheriff's deputies, but specifically the people who work in the Special Enforcement Bureau, this unit that was impacted this morning, they are the ones that assume the highest risk within the Sheriff's Department. I've interviewed the captain for that unit several times over my years covering news here in Los Angeles County, and I can tell you the way that they train, certainly it is very intense. And even I remember the captain talking about they train other units as well. They help train other law enforcement agencies. So this is an elite group, and also worth pointing out that the people who work in these buildings, some of them heard what happened this morning. They heard the blast, but as you heard the man talk about being inside a building, not being able to hear it, but some of them did, even though they were working in a large building, working where there's a machinery going on around them, and they still heard that blast. The facility is less than a mile from where we are, but it's about 3/4 of a mile, I will say, driving wise, maybe closer than that physically, but it is up at the top of the hill. So certainly for them to hear it, and when they're inside a facility, you know that this was a very large blast and tragically took the lives of those 3 sheriff's deputies, and of course everyone that we're speaking with, and all of us certainly heartbroken over that loss of life. Back to you guys.
Of course. All right, Rick, thank you. And the Sheriff's Department released this statement this morning shortly after 7:30 a.m. A critical workplace incident occurred in the 1000 block of Northeastern Avenue in East Los Angeles at the Biscailuz training facility. Tragically, there were 3 department member fatalities. Sheriff's homicide detectives are on scene. The FBI, LA, ATF are assisting LASD. This is still an active scene, and further details will be forthcoming. Now, we also received this statement from LA Mayor Karen Bass. It reads, the city of LA is supporting the LA County Sheriff's Department through this horrific incident in Monterey Park. LAFD, ATF arson investigators, and members of the LAPD bomb squad are assisting at the training facility. The thoughts of all Angelenos are with all of those impacted by this blast.
And also, LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger issued the following statement, saying a short time ago, I am heartbroken to hear of the terrible tragedy that has unfolded today at an LA County Sheriff's Department facility. I am closely tracking the situation as we learn more about what occurred and the condition of those affected. My heart is heavy. My thoughts are with the brave men and women of the Sheriff's Department during this difficult time. We stand with them and their families as they navigate the hours and days ahead.
And Supervisor Hilda Solis just released this statement. I am deeply saddened by the tragic incident that occurred this morning at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Biscailuz Training Academy in East Los Angeles. My heart goes out to the families, friends, and colleagues of the 3 individuals who lost their lives in what appears to have been a devastating explosion.
And, you know, we're still waiting to get more information as to how this happened. We have the basic details of when it happened and who was affected. But let's go back to Mark Liu. Mark, you were talking a little bit about how the federal government will be doing this investigation. So we will have to wait and see what happens with them.
Yeah, well, certainly members of the FBI, a very large contingent of the FBI and the ATF are now on scene. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been briefed on the situation. She said that she is devoting resources, federal resources, to this investigation as well. And that may be a very important part of this, as to maintain a separation of conflict of interest here. The LA County Sheriffs may not be investigating this explosion, even though it involved their deputies and it was at their facility, in order to maintain impartiality into the investigation, determine if anything, what went wrong. The FBI and the ATF may be the ones to handle this. So what we're seeing here is very likely scene preservation. They want to make sure that all of the evidence here is preserved, certainly involving that explosive site there, talking to everybody that was involved to make sure exactly will they find out what happened. Now, this is an extremely emotional moment, of course, for everyone involved here. 3 members of law enforcement all killed in this explosion. I want to show you some video from SkyCal from a little bit earlier. You're going to see here this very emotional moment, this embrace when LA County Sheriff's deputies, they hugged each other when they were very likely made aware that members of their team, members of their department had been killed here, 3 deputies. So it's a very emotional time, a very trying time for members of this department. There's lots of LA County sheriffs at this training facility. Now this here, though, video captured by SkyCal from about 45 minutes ago of that first inspection here of this scene. That's probably a member of the FBI bomb disposal team that is approaching the LA County Sheriff's bomb squad truck and inspecting it. They can't approach this scene and do any sort of forensic examination until they are absolutely sure that that scene has been made safe. Now, we don't know exactly what they know down there on the ground. There is a distinct possibility that they thought that there could be more explosive devices there, but we saw that bomb squad technician make an entire orbit around that truck and then report back to the command post, which is just about 50 or 60 feet away behind an LA County fire engine that you see right there, very likely from Fire Station 1, which is just across the street, giving his report. And since then, we really have not seen anyone approach that truck. Now, SkyCal has zoomed in several times at this. This is a piece of equipment there that has been left. I believe that's perhaps something that the bomb squad left there. It's a backpack or some other kind of thing right there. It's not far from the command post, but that's the command post you see there on the side of that LA County fire engine. But this entire campus here, you see, Chris and Amy, that is essentially the Biscailuz, I believe I'm saying it right, training center for LA County sheriffs. Lots of deputies work here. LA County Fire has their headquarters just to the west of that on the same campus. And there's LA County Sheriff's Fleet Management offices here, internal division as well is located here. So this entire facility is devoted to first responders. So there's lots of resources and manpower here. They just have to be coordinated to do this investigation, and that may likely be a federal response going forward.
Of course, certainly don't want any conflict of interest with the agency investigating themselves, and that is why it's so important that the FBI and the ATF are involved. You know, Mark, this is a very large facility, as you mentioned. So many agencies use this, but we have not heard, that I recall, in the years that I've been here, of an incident at this facility of late, correct?
No, I was doing a research investigation here with our archives at the desk. Cannot find an example, certainly not an example of any kind of a deadly accident happening here. It's possible that there may be training accidents. That always happens when you have first responders. They do hard training. I mean, they use firearms. They do urban search and rescue. So accidents, training accidents where there's injuries, even a trip to the hospital, can happen during training operations. But we certainly have not seen a deadly accident here that I can remember, certainly not 3 dead at this facility anytime in the recent past.
And it just shows how dangerous these jobs can be. I think you said it best, Amy. The fact 3 people, were killed at a training facility in this explosion that happened. One of the things that you talked about, Mark, is, this is the Special Enforcement Bureau, SEB. Explain for people who are tuning in right now, what this means. We hear the term SWAT. This is similar to them.
Yeah, so this is essentially what LA County Sheriff's Department call their SWAT team. When we think about SWAT teams, we think about the armored vehicles. We think about the officers in tactical gear. They're heavily armed. They're called in to deal with very volatile or hostile situations. The LA County Sheriff's Department certainly has a version of that, and they just call it their Special Enforcement Bureau. It's actually composed of several different divisions. One does a lot of the tactical work. They call that the Special Weapons Division. Those are the ones that we see that show up to things like barricades of hostile suspects. They also have a canine division that uses the canine units for both bomb detection and illicit substances interdiction. They also have an emergency services detail that they do mountain rescue, they do swiftwater rescue, they do helicopter-based rescues. So this is really, the SEB, you could consider the elite members of the LA County Sheriff's Department. They go the extra mile in training and take on some of the most dangerous assignments. And the spokesperson for LA County Sheriff say that the deputies that were killed here today were training at an SEB facility. So it's unclear exactly what they mean here, if they were hoping to train inside of a building here associated with SEB, or if they were deputies that were training to be a part of SEB. We just don't know yet. They haven't shared that yet. But certainly, whatever they were engaging in here did involve the elite members of the LA County Sheriff's Department. So all the more tragic that these deputies died here at this training facility here, where it's essentially designed to create the very best deputies for the force. Absolutely.
We do want to get over to KCAL reporter Jasmine Veal, who just arrived on the scene. And Jasmine, where exactly are you located at this point? All right, perhaps we don't have Jasmine just yet. If you are just joining us, this is the scene of where 3 deputies were killed this morning right around 7:30. People in the area say that they did hear some type of a blast. We do know, again, 3 deputies were killed. We are still waiting on exact information on what caused the explosion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Jasmine Veal is ready now. Let's go back to Jasmine. Jasmine, we've been talking to Rick and Amanda this morning. Tell us where you're located right now.
So I'm right here at the corner of Eastern Avenue and Lotta Drive, just up from the entrance to this training facility. You can see these deputies. They do have this road blocked to public traffic. The media can go through, and of course all those investigators that have been zooming past. Again, here on Eastern and Lotta Drive, and we've also seen some emotional people arriving here, tears in their eyes. They are being escorted in by the Sheriff's Department, and we believe those could be family members arriving or other department members, as tragically there were those 3 sheriff deputies killed in this blast, and we are getting also more reaction from neighbors just hours after the explosion here on Northeastern Avenue. One man, he pulled up, he said, "Oh my gosh, I heard this. I just dropped my kids off." And he said, we're in East LA. He's used to hearing fireworks exploding around here, but this was far different than that. Take a listen.
Well, I'm up early. I have 2 small kids go to summer camp. We live right up the hill, and there's been a lot of explosions since 4th of July around here. So this is East LA typically. So it sounded larger than usual, and had a depth and a deepness to it that was worrisome. I looked outside of my house. Of course, we're on opposite hills, but it was like a 0.1 earthquake. It really shook. So that was disconcerting. But I could see nothing visibly from our house. We've got 911 there. We've got Sheriff's Department, the old prison. Just terribly sad for the neighborhood. We're kind of a divided country right now, but nobody wants to see something like that.
Yeah, his name is Richard Montoya. Again, he lives nearby. He's checking some of his security cam video to see if it actually caught this, because, again, he said it was just reverberating a few seconds even after that blast. People, again, arriving here. This street has been very busy. We've seen official vehicles pulling in and out with investigators inside, tinted windows, big SUVs, and again, just people in normal clothing that are being kind of escorted in and out of this area. And I think that's because they have such a huge scene to process, right? And now you have all these family members, friends, and investigators that are, you know, trying to get answers and trying to just see what the next steps are. And they're heartbroken. I mean, I had a man pull up on a bike, and he doesn't know the deputies. He had just heard what happened, and he just wanted to come down here and see if he could offer any kind of emotional support to some of the deputies that are out here working these road closures despite what happened. I mean, they have a job to do, right, at the Biscailuz training facility. And again, the FBI, ATF, and the LA Sheriff's Department investigating this, still in the early stages. Live here in East LA, Jasmine, VLK Cal News.
Yeah, it's so crazy, the fact that, you know, it felt like an earthquake, a low earthquake to this man. Jasmine, thank you so much. Some great sound right there to give us an idea. But, you know, he said it best. Regardless of how we are in a political climate, nobody wants to see something like this happen. Just so heartbreaking. And to hear about the family come into the area, or even if it's their coworkers, their friends, and just their emotion. I mean, it's got to be so hard.
It is certainly a strong family ties, and we have to be reminded that no matter what's going on, these are the men and women who sacrifice to protect us.
Absolutely.
Each and every day. And unfortunately, this is a tragic incident that has happened, and 3 deputies have lost their lives.
Yeah, well, let's go back now to Amanda Starantino out there live. Amanda, you're in a different vantage point right now. I believe they're probably getting ready for a news conference behind you.
That's exactly what you're looking at, Chris. So this is right at the front entrance for that training facility here at Sheriff Road in Northeastern. And what you're seeing behind me is all the crews getting set up for a press conference where we will be hearing from Sheriff Luna himself. That's set to happen in about the next hour or so. So he's working on getting himself over here. There might also be homicide investigators here on site to speak with us as well. But right now they're giving us very limited details as to what happened and how those 3 deputies were killed while handling some sort of explosive this morning around 7:30 at this training facility. So, you know, is it okay if we walk forward a little bit? Just watch on the ground right here. I want you to have a look at what we're watching over here. So there's a lot of crews right here. This is the area they have us staged at for now. But you're seeing some sheriff's deputies coming through. No one is allowed through this area, and the only ones allowed back specifically to here is media. But we've also seen other agencies coming through. As we know, the FBI Los Angeles and the ATF are assisting in this investigation, and we're seeing those cars come in, a lot of unmarked cars. Those are those agencies most likely coming through. We also saw the mobile command unit, a very large trailer type car coming through to also assist in this. But obviously a very sad situation for these deputies. These are people they work with every day. We have to remember when it comes to what happens here at the Biscailuz training facility here, very intensive training. These are for our SWAT teams, our special teams that are handling very risky situations, and that's what we saw happen here this morning. So when a tragedy like this happens, they have to be very careful about who's allowed into this area and what information they are releasing. But again, we do know that there will be a press conference in about the next hour or so where we will be hearing from Sheriff Luna. Obviously, his heart has to be so heavy. These are not only his employees, but you become family as well. And just what this means to the community. These are the men and women that do everything to protect us every day, and to have this happen to them is just truly tragic. Amy, Chris?
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda. And, you know, our hearts are with all of those deputies' families and loved ones. You know, this is just heartbreaking to hear that they've lost their lives.
I mean, 3 people.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It really is. All right, we want to check back in on our breaking news desk with Mark Liu. And Mark, you have been getting so much information about this tragic incident.
Yeah, we're sifting through a lot of details, both coming in from our crews on the ground and from video with SkyCal. Now, what you're looking at here is live pictures of the scene, and there are some hints with SkyCal now that we're seeing that this investigation is progressing. We have just seen with SkyCal for the first time LA County Sheriff's deputy or perhaps federal bomb squad investigators getting much closer to the scene without any protective body gear on. SkyCal is staying wide because the bodies of those 3 fallen deputies are still down there. They're only partially covered. But as SkyCal zooms in here, that LA County fire truck down there at the bottom of your screen has some investigators standing next to it. They're not wearing the same kind of body armor that we saw earlier that bomb squad techs were using. And members of that team were on the other side of that yellow crime tape that you see there. They were actually looking underneath some of the LA Sheriff's patrol vehicles, very likely looking for pieces of whatever exploded. That's what they're looking for. They're going to be investigating exactly what this explosion was, how it happened. And we saw one of those members of that team right there on his hands and knees looking underneath that LA Sheriff's patrol car with the busted out window there, and also the one right behind it. So these investigators here are not wearing the same kind of protective body gear that we saw earlier with that heavily armored bomb squad technician wearing that bomb disposal kit that we've seen. They look very, very large. They're very bulky. So that could be an indicator that they're feeling more comfortable about getting closer to that truck, that bomb squad truck that is the focal point of this explosion investigation, where the bodies of those 3 deputies are still there next to it. They're quite far from one another, though. They're a good 10, 15 feet from one another, which indicates the size of the blast here through those deputies, quite a distance. And unfortunately, they were declared dead at the scene. But the crime tape is still up here, and the investigation still continuing. This very large campus of the Biscailuz Training Center here in the northern part of East LA, right by the 710 and the 10, closed with multiple law enforcement agencies, including federal authorities like the FBI and the ATF, who may very likely take over the scene of this accident due to a conflict of interest. They don't want the LA County sheriffs possibly investigating themselves here in relation to how this accident happened and how these deputies were killed.
Mark, and still so many questions. And of course, people are so interested in finding out what happened that led to the death of 3 deputies. But it does take time. We don't know what they were handling. We don't know if they were trying to move something, if there was something in that truck. We just know that people heard an explosion right around 7:30 this morning. Mark was able to show us on a map where those deputies' bodies
it was that parking lot.
Yes, in that parking lot, and where they ended up from that explosion. And so, we just have to wait a little bit longer to get the details, the exact details of what led up to this.
And, right now the big focus is, letting family know and, letting friends and loved ones know about, these 3 people who were killed. We did hear that Sheriff Robert Luna is going to be having a press conference in the next hour. So we'll probably get some more information there, maybe a little bit more about who these people are. But obviously, these are 3 people from his team where he is the man in charge. And I can only imagine what he's going through, because this is not something you want to see happen in your department anywhere. But of course, we're going to continue to follow this story out of East Los Angeles. Jasmine Beal also said it best. One of the man right there said it sounded like an earthquake. I mean, that's how powerful this explosion was. And you could see from SkyCal all the homes surrounding this very large training facility. So of course, once we get more information, we'll bring it to you. But for now, let's check back in with meteorologist Alex Biston. And Alex, you have had a busy morning and a busy afternoon for some in the area as well.
Hi, Chris and Amy. Yes, a very busy morning here in the weather department as we've been tracking that monsoon moisture that is bringing showers and even brought some thunderstorms earlier today across Orange County and some parts of Riverside County. Want to bring in our futurecast and move you through the rest of this morning and into this afternoon, as we've got that chance of showers and thunderstorms really hyper focused over our mountain communities, areas like the San Gabriel Mountains, the San Bernardino County Mountains, and the San Jacinto Mountains too. But it is possible that we see some of this activity drift across some parts of the Inland Empire. So we do have that chance of showers that is going to exist through this afternoon. So we could see some of that move into the coastal regions as well. It's a very slight chance, but again, highest chance up in the mountains. So if you're in Big Bear, if you are in Idlewild, you will want to be weather aware as we head into this afternoon. I want to bring in temperatures as we head into this afternoon as well, because if you liked yesterday, you're going to like today. I've got temperatures in the high 70s across Long Beach through downtown Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach in the low 70s, and Woodland Hills talking temperatures in the low 90s as we head into this afternoon. So again, 90s away from the coastline. We go down south into Orange County. I've got temperatures in the 70s across Anaheim, Ontario in the 90s. And San Bernardino also feeling temperatures in the 90s, Lake Elsinore 94 this afternoon. So really we're out of triple digit territory. And as we head into this weekend, temperatures will be very similar. We're at or slightly below average. We're going to send it back to you.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. We continue to follow breaking news. 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies are dead, another injured at an explosion at a department training facility. Welcome to KCAL News at 11 on CBS Los Angeles and continuing coverage on KCAL Channel 9. We're also streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. I'm Sheba Turk. That explosion happened around 7:30 this morning at a training center that is home to the Sheriff's Special Enforcement Bureau and Arson Explosive Detail. We have a team of reporters on the scene. We want to begin with KCAL News reporter Rick Montanez. And Rick, tell us where you are in relation to the facility right now and what you've heard over the past few hours.
Yeah, Sheba, we're just down the street from that main entrance up to the LA County Sheriff's Department facility where the Special Enforcement Bureau conducts its training. And you see right behind us here, the road is closed. No one but emergency responders allowed up, but the county has employees who have come down to bring some stuff to them. They're keeping Eastern Avenue closed off. We've seen so many more emergency vehicles coming through here within the last few hours. It's pretty astonishing the number of units that we've seen show up out here. But you know, they're responding to this scene here. Let's show you some video that we have from SkyCal to get an idea of where this is. So that facility is just under a mile driving wise from where we are. If we took Eastern up and then turned right onto Sheriff Road, I believe, or Drive, to get up to that facility, and that is where SkyCal is obviously giving us that overhead perspective. So the people who work and live nearby, as we've heard, they heard the explosion this morning. I've talked with a few people who work here just south of the facility who did hear a blast. One man who actually works for the county, so he works up there in that complex, and he says his colleagues told him that they heard the blast. They're used to hearing the training go on at this facility, so they're used to hearing smaller explosives or loud blasts, but this, they say, was very different. They knew that immediately. Listen to what he said.
So they were there and they heard a loud explosion, and next thing you know, yeah, there was just sheriff deputies on site and kind of blocked the area off. Yeah, it's just been a sad day for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to hear 3 sheriff's deputies died in this explosion, that's got to be difficult knowing you work right there.
Yeah, for sure, and then especially for you know, the families. Just, you know, fortunately, yeah, I just got to, you know, cover them with prayers. But it's a sad day.
And people certainly keeping the families in their thoughts. I want to also point out that there are businesses around here who initially thought they may have to evacuate, but some of those managers have told us since in the last few hours that they learned they do not have to. They can stay open and run business as usual. They considered closing it because, again, the roads are closed here. We've only seen emergency crews, first responders moving through this area. These deputies have been turning away a lot of people who usually use Eastern to get to the neighborhoods on the north side of this area. One man walking by saying that his grandmother takes the bus up through here, so he's concerned. One thing I want to point out too is the fact that they brought snacks and water and things to these crews tells us that they're going to be out here for quite a while, and they know that already. And so, you know, if you live anywhere around here, you have to be aware of that happening. Sheba, last thing I want to point out, Special Enforcement Bureau, we know that these are the men and women who take on the highest risk assignments for the county, and they are certainly very well trained. I've talked with their captain over the years. I've talked with a lot of people in this specialized unit. They are elite, so for something of this scale to go wrong, to happen, certainly everyone wondering what exactly that was and feeling this tragedy throughout the Los Angeles County community. Reporting live in East LA, I'm Rick Montanez, KCAL News.
All right, what a terrible tragedy, but we do appreciate your observations from the scene. Rick, thank you so much. For our CBS viewers, thank you for joining us. We continue to follow this breaking news of an explosion at a Sheriff's Department training facility in East LA. We are still waiting for the Sheriff's Department to give us an update on the situation, but they have released a statement that says in part, tragically, there were 3 department member fatalities. Sheriff's homicide detectives are on scene. The FBI LA, ATF are assisting LASD, and there is still an active scene and further details will be forthcoming. Attorney General Pam Bondi also released a statement saying, I just spoke with Sheriff Robert Luna. We have FBI and ATF agents on the ground to support. Please pray for the entire Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. All right, let's get over to our assignment manager, Mark Liu, who is at the desk. And I know, Mark, you've been following so many updates this morning, doing a great job keeping us up to date. Talk more about what happens at this training facility and campus for viewers just joining us.
Well, this is a very large campus for all kinds of first responders. It's not just LA County Sheriffs. LA County Fire has a headquarters here. There's also an LA County Fire Station here. And it was just after 7:30 this morning that the radio call went out. We heard it at the desk of a very loud bang heard by deputies inside the buildings, and they called LA County Fire to investigate. Now let's take a look with SkyCal and show you what we're looking at here. This is an overhead view of this training facility, the Biscailuz training facility here at the corner of the 10 and the 710 in East LA. And as I had mentioned, it was about 7:30 this morning that the first arriving LA County firefighters from Fire Station 1, which is right across the way from here, it's very, very, very close to where this was. We heard on the scanners them declare that there was some kind of an explosion here. Then they said they had 1 injury, then 3 injuries, and then unfortunately they pronounced all 3 of the deputies injured here in this explosion dead on the scene. Now what you're looking at here is this parking lot roped off. This is the focal point of the investigation that we have seen all morning, focusing on right near the bottom of your screen. You're seeing it just poke out from underneath those tarps. It's an LA County Sheriff's bomb squad truck, and that is where we believe the explosion was essentially centered on the right side of that truck. Now, we're not going to zoom in and do an orbit here because the bodies of those 3 deputies are still down there. They are only partially covered. But what you see in the center of your screen is the investigators here. We believe these may be federal investigators now, as U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has assigned resources from the FBI and the ATF to investigate how this explosion happened. But what you're looking at is a wide view of this entire campus. LA County Sheriffs have lots of deputies that work here at this training facility. It is one of their primary training facilities for all kinds of deputies. I want to show you some video that we shot here of a very emotional moment here where LA County Sheriff's deputies embraced each other as they learned that their fellow deputies, 3 of them, had been killed in this blast. Certainly, this word spread very quickly through the facility. And then what you are seeing here is a bomb squad member fully dressed in that gear, that heavily, heavily protective gear, approaching the blast scene for the first time. They're very methodical. They go very slowly. And no other investigators could approach this scene until the bomb squad was sure that it had been made safe. So we saw with SkyCal that member of the bomb squad go very slowly and make an entire orbit around that truck, making sure there was nothing else that was potentially explosive that could harm investigators if they approached. Shortly thereafter, we saw with SkyCal that bomb squad technician did leave the area and go back to the command post. You can see here doing a debrief with other investigators. And in the past 10 to 15 minutes, we have seen investigators get a lot closer to that truck without any protective gear on. So that it's a good sign that there is potentially a belief that there is no longer any explosive material, but we really haven't seen bomb squad technicians get any closer than that technician there with the gear on. Now, if you come out to my map, I'm going to show you and give you a better idea of where this is all happening. Here's downtown LA. I'm going to zoom in on this training facility at the corner of the 10 and the 710 freeways. That's what you're seeing here and here, the 10 and the 710. But as I zoom in on the parking lot, I'm going to give you an idea of what we're working on. So here's an overhead view. And of course, in this satellite picture, that truck that's the focus of is not there, but it's right about here. And I can tell you that the deputies, they found their bodies here, here, and here. So quite far from one another. And we saw a deputy's vehicle here with the window blown out here, but no damage anywhere back in this direction. So it's very likely that we saw a blast profile that happened in this way, and the deputies, unfortunately, they may have been thrown quite far from that truck in the ensuing blast, and they were killed virtually instantly in this situation as paramedics made no transports and declared them dead on scene very, very quickly. But this entire area now roped off as the investigation continues here on this campus. And I'll show you this entire campus here is what we're looking at. It essentially extends all the way through here and down here as well. This is LA County Fire Headquarters. This is LA County Fire Station 1. The LA Sheriffs have this entire area here, and down here is their fleet management, and down here is also some of their internal investigative services. So this entire campus now part of the investigation that the ATF and the FBI and, of course, the LA County Sheriffs are going to have to handle here as the scene still develops and unfolds here as they try and figure out exactly what caused that explosion that killed those 3 deputies. Sheba?
Thank you so much. And I know we're still getting a ton of information on this. We want to get out to KCAL News reporter Amanda Starantino now. Amanda, tell us where you are in relation to the facility. We continue our team coverage of this explosion.
Sheba, so we are actually right at the front entrance of the facility. So this is Sheriff Road. That's going to lead you right into the facility. You can see it right over here, and that's where that explosion happened earlier this morning. But as we loop around, we are on Northeastern. This road is blocked off to everyone. You can see all the media crews here because we are standing by for Sheriff Luna to get here within the next hour to do a press conference to give us more information. So this is Northeastern. It's blocked to any other traffic unless they are investigators that are coming here or media for at least this area. So if you need to get around this area, you're not going to be able to come on Northeastern near this facility. We're also right by the LA County Fire Department headquarters as well as one of their stations, and that's why they were able to get to this scene and respond so quickly here this morning. So again, we did just find out that Sheriff Luna will be coming here to this location right at the front entrance of the Biscailuz Training Center here to discuss any more details that he has. But right now, very limited details. We know 3 deputies were killed when they were handling some sort of explosive device here on the property this morning. Now, this isn't a very elite group of law enforcement that works in this building here. A lot of training happens here. There's also fire department training that happens within this area as well. So they're handling a lot of very intensive circumstances here in this area, and they're highly trained, but it also comes with high risk as well as what we saw unfortunately happen this morning. What we do know, this is an active investigation. We know that those 3 deputies have been killed. We have very little information of who they are at this point, but it's very sensitive. Obviously, there's a lot of families involved with this as well, and a lot of heartbreak too. So we are working to get more information as to what is going on. We're not seeing a lot of people leave the facility right now, just more so people coming in. So we are seeing that they are allowing people in there, so it supposedly should be safe for them to be there at this point. We saw Mark say he's not seeing people preparing themselves for any other sort of explosives in that area, and they are allowing us to stay right here, not really moving us any further. So that is some good news there. We will keep an eye on it. We are waiting for the sheriff to get here to discuss with us anything more that he knows, but obviously this is going to be a very heavy press conference, not one that anyone wants to have happen, and these details and what these families are going through, our hearts just go out to them in this entire LA Sheriff's Department community. For now, back to you guys.
Absolutely. You and the rest of the media out there waiting more details on this. Amanda, we appreciate it. We'll come back to you as soon as that begins. We did get a statement from LA Mayor Karen Bass this morning. It reads, the city of LA is supporting the LA County Sheriff's Department through this horrific incident in Monterey Park. LAFD, ATF arson investigators, and members of the LAPD bomb squad are assisting at the training facility. The thoughts of all Angelenos are with those impacted by this blast. And LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger issued the following statement a short time ago saying, I am heartbroken to hear of the terrible tragedy that has unfolded today at an LA County Sheriff's Department facility. I'm closely tracking the situation as we learn more about what occurred and the condition of those affected. My heart is heavy and my thoughts are with the brave men and women of the Sheriff's Department during this difficult time. We stand with them and their families as they navigate the hours and days ahead. And Supervisor Hilda Solis just released this statement saying, I'm deeply saddened by the tragic incident that occurred this morning at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Biscailuz Training Academy in East Los Angeles. My heart goes out to the families, friends, and colleagues of the 3 individuals who lost their lives in what appears to have been a devastating explosion. We are joined now by Clay Cranford. He's a former Orange County Sheriff's Department sergeant and founder of Cyber Safety Cop. Clay, thank you for being with us again. I know we were speaking earlier this morning and you were giving us some context into this tragedy.
Yeah, thank you for having me on such a sad day. Thank you.
Yeah, so talk about, for our viewers who were just joining us, I know you explained earlier what type of training happens in a facility like this, because this is a place where if we're covering the news, this is not something we talk about, unfortunately, unless a tragedy happens.
Yeah, this is I think very similar to, we have a facility just like this in Orange County Sheriff's Department. It's probably a shared facility where you have the bomb squad there, their office is there where they do some training, and they probably have some other classrooms where they do other advanced officer training as well. And yeah, it's these kinds of things thankfully don't happen very often because we're, like you said earlier, these are elite members of the Sheriff's Department, and they're very careful about these types of things. And it's an important thing to remember when you're law enforcement, even on days that they're training are dangerous days for them, and they're doing this being prepared for in the situation where they may have to be deployed. And I'm sure the LA Sheriff's bomb squad is deployed quite often, so these are experienced individuals, and yeah, it's just a tragedy, like something this would happen.
It absolutely is. I mean, it's good to hear that something like this is rare, but there have been incidents, of course, where things have gone wrong. Talk about what kinds of things could have led to an explosion like this.
Well, it's looking at the overhead of the scene, it does seem, based on very basic cursory information available right now, it does seem strange that this would be happening if they were doing a controlled demolition, because they do that. They practice, they use explosives to disarm explosives, right? And that's part of what they do. But they wouldn't do this right next to a building, next to cars. They would be out in a test area away from those things, just in case there was a mistake or something happened. So it does seem odd that this would be happening in this area where they'd be so close to cars and people in the building. So clearly obviously something happened here that was not planned. And I think the location of that definitely speaks to that. But when they're going to go through this very carefully with the help of with the ATF, et cetera. And so they're going to know basically what happens here. But typically what happens in these types of situations is that there was a mistake made. Maybe there were some procedures that weren't closely followed. All situations like this typically fall back on a mistake made at a very basic level, and usually it cascades into something really horrible.
Absolutely. It's also a reminder of how dangerous this duty is for the sheriff's deputies who take part in this on a daily basis. And again, we're not covering unless it goes wrong. Talk about the types of deputies who are put on a team like this.
Well, these are individuals who are handpicked, and it takes a special person to want to handle explosives. I went through a 1-week course on IED, devices, and you get a special understanding of how dangerous these devices are, explosives are. It's a 360-degree exposure, and if something were to go off, it's like a gun shooting in 360-degree bubble, and it doesn't take a lot. That's the other thing. I think people watch movies and they see these explosions and they think they're going to see something, spectacular, a big mushroom cloud or something, or a big ball of fire. But really, a small amount of high explosive can do a lot of damage to the human body within, a few hundred feet.
Right. And knowing how dangerous what they're dealing with is, I'm sure there's so many protocols in place to make sure something like this does happen. Talk about the protocols possibly in place after something like this and what we've seen in the past several hours. Of course, in the immediate aftermath, we saw tons of cars leaving the facility, learning that they were evacuating the facility. What kind of team members are required to stay? Who would they get off campus? Talk about what we've been seeing here.
Yeah, they have to make the scene safe, and as soon as they understand that this is not an ongoing threat, because if it was somebody who planted an explosive, then you're worried about maybe secondary explosives, so they would have to make sure that the scene is safe. But I think immediately they would know if that were the case or not, and it appears not to be in this situation. And then they're going to have to, then everything slows down, because now we're in a very time discretionary situation. They're going to make a very large perimeter, because they're going to want to collect every little piece of that explosive device, because it's going to be blown hundreds of feet in every direction. They're going to want to know where everything's at and get a very good understanding. And then walking back in time on that timeline and understand from the point of the explosion, forward what happened, and also back, because obviously something has to trigger that. There has to be some things happening prior to that. And so they're gonna remove all the unnecessary personnel in that area, and then they're gonna be bringing in sounds like LAPD bomb squad is going to be coming in. You're going to have the federal government experts coming in looking at this. And again, these things don't happen very often, thankfully, but when they do, there has to be a takeaway from this so that this can't ever happen again. And they will clearly know what that is. And unfortunately, this loss of life is going to be a real tragedy obviously for the families, but for everybody working in that facility. That's your family. And when you lose someone like that you see every day, and obviously the family expecting those people to come home to them tonight, that's not going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of emotional turmoil, really, that's going to be a part of this for years to come.
Absolutely. You think how devastated their families and friends are, the morale of the department after something like this. In that immediate aftermath, maybe about an hour or two after, we saw someone in a lot of gear moving around the area. Talk about what they have to do to even be able to approach the bodies that are on scene here to make sure it's safe for whoever is approaching the scene next so that something doesn't happen to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in this situation, again, time stops, right? Everything slows down, and they're going to put someone in protective equipment and basically check that area, every square foot of this area, to make sure that it's safe. And of course, they have to do that with the decedents as well, which is kind of the grimmest part of this thing. So yes, it's a very methodical. It's kind of like when the bomb squad would get called out to an exploded device. Mm-hmm. It's the same process that they do out in the field. Now, unfortunately, this is happening in their training facility.
And I'm sure more often than we report on or even hear of, they are responding to incidents of potential explosives. Talk about the work that they're doing that we probably just don't cover because it turns out to be nothing, but is very, very dangerous. What does their field work look like?
We don't cover the things that are nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And most of them are, because you may have a suspicious object, and they'll come out there, and they have the remote vehicles that can access those things, because they have to be safe. They take all these precautions because it's not like the movies. They're not gambling when they're dealing with these devices. They do it in a way that is safe and professional. And so like when things like this happen, it just seems very strange. But yes, they go out and they have a procedure that they do these things, and they have to follow them to the letter. And if they don't, then there's the opportunity for something really tragic to happen.
And I also know you mentioned earlier that this would look very differently if the sheriff's department, we thought, had an idea that someone had planted an explosive, that everything has pointed to that this is a mistake. Talk about earlier, we heard from some people in the area saying, oh, we were going to evacuate because we're used to hearing things at this training center. This sounded different. We thought we would have to leave the area, but they were told by officials that it was okay for them to stay. So kind of talk about the signs here that have led to us believing that when we hear from Sheriff Robert Luna shortly, this will be confirmed that this is just a very tragic accident.
Yeah, I think you're going to have people on scene, probably supervisors for this particular unit, and maybe they're aware leading up to this that they were going to be maybe doing some training, maybe they were moving some explosive material from A to B, who knows? But they led up to this situation kind of knowing that there was activity going on with the facility. How this happens with someone knowing ahead of time is, of course, going to be part of this investigation. But yeah, I think I'm sure at this facility they do have a time, controlled detonation of explosive material, and so the people around would hear that. But it sounded different, right? Because this was different. There was something else happening here that was outside the procedural norms that they would be taking in a typical training situation.
Right. And of course, we're just still a few hours from that explosion happening. But what has happened? I know you say it's very rare that something like this happened. After other incidents like this, do you see a total revamp of the facility, or even though it's rare, this is something that they know could happen and they just reinforce the training that's already there? Or do you kind of see a rewriting of training and rules?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I'm sure they have procedures in place that are sufficient to keep something like this happening. I mean, it's like when a plane crashes, they go back through and they look at the black box and they try to understand what led to the tragedy. And typically it's going to be people not following the procedure. I'm sure the individuals here were well trained on those procedures, but the procedures are only as good as a person who follows them, right? They have to do that. And perhaps one of the things they're going to be looking at is, you know, like, what are our rules with regards to these procedures? Are these procedures sufficient? They probably are. But again, are we following our procedures? How are we doing that? What is the process? Maybe the process with regards to moving things or conducting this type of training, that may be the thing that's going to be looked at the closest.
Absolutely. We're, of course, continuing to take a live look here at the facility in East LA, the Sheriff's Training Center, where this explosion happened around 7:30 this morning. You know, and I'm noticing this fire truck we've been focused on, which seems to be kind of serving as some sort of barrier here at the training center. We've mentioned that the ATF, the FBI, the fire department, all on hand here, as well as other law enforcement officials. Can you kind of talk about some of the different roles they're playing so the public understands? I think in general, we just see a large law enforcement presence.
Yeah, you're going to have at the very top level unified command in these types of situations. And so they just activate a game plan for a major critical incident like this. Now, the fire may not have a significant role in this, but they're going to be part of that, you know, unified command at the very top level. You know, you're going to have Sheriff Luna. You're going to have an agent, a special agent in charge, perhaps from the ATF or the FBI, that's going to be there. And so they're really, one of the more important things that they're there for is to provide resources. Whether they're going to be the primary investigative team, they may be part of the team. They may, I don't know how they were going to divide this with regards to, you know, who's going to be the lead investigative team on something like this. It might be ATF, but they are there to provide all the resources necessary to make sure that this is investigated in a way that comes with a successful conclusion with regards to understanding what happened here. And of course, on what we're not seeing is their sheriff's association that's going to be contacting the family and providing the support there, and also the mental health support that family and all the people working in this facility are also going to need. Because that's something that, again, we don't see that, but behind these types of things is a lot of human trauma that has to be addressed as well.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding us of that as we think of these 3 deputies who lost their lives today. Clay, we appreciate all of your insight as we continue to follow this breaking news out of East LA. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, we want to continue our team coverage of today's deadly explosion. Our Jasmine Veal is joining us now. Jasmine, I understand you spoke with a neighbor who lives nearby.
Yeah, and he heard this explosion. I just spoke to another man who pulled up here in his truck coming out of his home, and he said he heard muffled noises and knew instantly something was wrong. But we have walked up and down this hilly street here, and surprisingly, a lot of folks just coming out of their doors a few minutes ago saying they did not hear anything. They had no idea this tragedy unfolded this morning around 7:30 at this training facility just right outside their door, because we are here on Eastern Avenue and Lotta Drive, and we have seen emotional folks pulling up here in just regular vehicles trying to figure out what to do next, assuming these might be family or friends of the 3 sheriff deputies killed in this explosion. As tragically, these were the 3 sheriff department members killed in this blast. We're told this involves the sheriff department's elite arson and explosives unit, and all the while at this street closure where we are, you see these 2 deputies. I've been talking with them over the past few hours, just saying, how are you doing? And these deputies say, they're doing okay, but they are heartbroken, but they still have a job to do. Listen to what this one neighbor told me as he was dropping his kids off to school. He says he hears fireworks here in East LA, but nothing like this.
Well, I'm up early. I have 2 small kids go to summer camp. We live right up the hill. And there's been a lot of explosions since 4th of July around here. So this is East LA typically. So it sounded larger than usual and had a depth and a deepness to it that was worrisome. I looked outside of my house. Of course, we're on opposite hills, but it was like a 0.1 earthquake. It really shook. So that was disconcerting. But I could see nothing visibly from our house. We've got 911 there. We've got Sheriff's Department, the old prison. Just terribly sad for the neighborhood. We're kind of a divided country right now, but nobody wants to see something like that.
Huge law enforcement presence out here. ATF, the FBI. This street very busy with tons of law enforcement coming and going. Live here in East LA, Jasmine, VL KCAL News. Back to you guys.
All right, Jasmine, thank you so much. We do want to thank you for watching KCAL News at 11 a.m. For our CBS viewers, we're returning you to regular programming. For those watching us on KCAL News, we're staying with our breaking coverage. You can watch us streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. If you are just joining us, that explosion that happened around 7:30 this morning, that deadly explosion at the LA Sheriff's Training Facility in East LA, we have continued to follow for hours this morning. We do have a team of reporters on the scene. Of course, 3 sheriff's deputies were killed in that explosion. We want to start back with our Rick Montanez, who has been near this scene for hours, monitoring what has been happening. And Rick, of course, very devastating that 3 sheriff's deputies lost their lives.
Certainly, Sheba, and we know that they are members of this elite unit, the Special Enforcement Bureau. I can tell you I've covered that unit for years. While I've been a reporter here in Los Angeles for 10 years. I've interviewed their captain. I've spoken with him several times about the elite training that they go through. And this department actually trains departments with other or I should say officers with other law enforcement agencies as well. So you know they are highly specialized. We are here on Eastern Avenue, south of the sheriff's facility here in East LA. The road is closed at Mariana Avenue, where these deputies are keeping everyone out other than first responders. And we have seen countless first responders show up here and go through this barricade to get up to that training facility, where the investigation is now underway and potentially where they are still dealing with live explosives. That's why they're keeping us so far away at this point. We want to show you video from SkyCal so you get an idea of what it looks like there. This is on top of a hill here on Eastern Avenue, and so where we are standing about a quarter-mile south of there, these businesses are all kind of downhill. So some people told me that they didn't hear anything. Others said they heard some sort of blast, but it was muffled because they were inside the building. I did speak with a county employee who's worked on that campus for the better part of 20 years, who tells me he's heard training go on there before. He's heard some blasts happen as these crews have done their work. But this one, according to his colleagues, was completely different, and they knew it the moment they heard that blast. Listen to what he described for us just a short time ago.
Actually, one of the guys just said he heard a loud explosion, and actually he was inside the facility, which is usually when you're outside you hear them, but when you're inside you rarely hear anything. But he heard a loud explosion, and when he went out there was a bunch of sheriff deputies already on site. The first thing that came to my mind was just unfortunately the families, and my heart goes out to them, and yeah, just prayers for the family, and it's just definitely a sad day.
And certainly when you think about this, these sheriff's deputies that are continuing their work, all of the law enforcement, we know that that is an extended family, so a difficult day for them. As for businesses in this area, some of them thought they may have to evacuate. They were told that by sheriff's deputies. But they've since learned that they do not have to, at least from where we are at Mariana Avenue and south here on Eastern Avenue. They're allowed to continue business as usual, but in the initial stages, they didn't know, the sheriff's department didn't know. Again, they may still be dealing with live explosives, so they weren't sure what to do at that point. Last thing I'll leave you with, we did see one woman show up here. She looked distraught. She was talking to deputies. They were talking to somebody on her cell phone, and then they told her, we'll get an escort to come pick you up. She was crying and did not want to speak, but she was picked up in a car and taken up, so she may be a relative of somebody involved in this, or maybe a relative of somebody who works up there. We're not sure yet, but this is kind of the state of what we're in. We know that family members are being taken up nearby to speak with people from the Sheriff's Department. This is just a very difficult day, not only for the Sheriff's Department, especially for the Sheriff's Department, but also beyond that, this community that these deputies serve. Back to you.
Absolutely. And you know what, Rick, that is just a reminder of all the people who are personally impacted by this terrible tragedy. Thank you so much for that. We want to continue our coverage of this breaking news. We want to get over to our Amanda Starantino now, who is also near the scene and awaiting a press conference any minute now. We're expecting Sheriff Robert Luna to speak, as well as other officials, and finally get more information on this explosion, which happened several hours ago now, Amanda.
Yeah, but obviously, Sheba, this is a very sensitive topic. You have 3 sheriff's deputies that were killed in this explosion while handling some sort of explosives there this morning. And as Rick just said, you know, we're looking to get more information, and so are all the families involved in this. And it's just hearing him say that and what that woman is going through right now and what's going on in her head, you can't imagine. It's unimaginable. Right now, we are waiting for Sheriff Luna to arrive here right at the front entrance of the facility here, of this training facility of Biscailuz. You can see those sheriff's deputies' cars over there, so they are setting up. They have us prepared to hear from Sheriff Luna and possibly some homicide investigators as well. What we've been seeing here so far, I would say in about the last hour, not a lot of cars leaving the facility, but several coming in. About an hour ago, there was definitely more, because we have different agencies involved now through this, because we don't want law enforcement investigating their own law enforcement here. So we're seeing the ATF and also the FBI Los Angeles coming into this area to assist in this investigation and investigate it on a federal level, so above the Sheriff's Department. But obviously the Sheriff's Department will be assisting since this is right on their facility. But you can imagine how difficult it would have to be to investigate this type of situation where it's literally your own colleagues. This becomes your friends, your family, your people, your community. And these are people who have dedicated their life to service to protect our community. And what we're seeing here, so this is the arson and explosive unit for the Sheriff's Department. And this includes the bomb squad as well. So they work with the highest risk, very elite group with very intensive training here as well. A lot of different types of training with law enforcement happens here. You can see some more cars coming in with law enforcement and different agencies coming in to assist in this investigation, and they're slowly trickling in. So it looks like it's safe to be on the property as they are allowing these units into this area. They're not allowing anyone from the public to come up here to the entrance. So this is Eastern right here. It's only media that is allowed access to this area. So Northeastern on both sides, north and south, are blocked off. We went to both sides, and that is what we saw. So we drove around the area. The neighborhoods are still open, and people are still at home right now, and everything seems to be operating. We saw trash pickup still going on in the areas over there, so they don't seem to be too affected. But right here, completely blocked off. A lot of us just waiting for more information, because right now all we do know is that 3 deputies were killed in that explosion. We know this is an ongoing investigation, and we have also been told that this is most likely just a horrific and tragic accident happening here while these deputies were just going. They showed up to work this morning, and it's happening just so quickly and so fast, and now families just waiting for answers, and hopefully we can get more within the next hour when Sheriff Luna should be here for a press conference to give us some more details. But for now, back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Amanda. We'll check back in with you as soon as that press conference starts. Let's get back over to the desk with our Mark Lou. Mark, I understand you're getting more information about what actually caused this explosion.
Yes, so here at the desk we have gotten a lot of new information, including from CBS News confirmed they have spoken to 2 senior law enforcement officials in Los Angeles that have been briefed on this investigation. And those senior law enforcement officials now tell CBS News that this does not appear to be a training accident. Rather, it appears that these 3 members of the elite arson and explosives units for the LA County Sheriff's Department were handling explosive material that was recovered in some way yesterday. Now, we don't know what kind of an operation it was, but this was apparently explosive material, very powerful explosive material. We don't know the nature of it, but it was recovered yesterday, and it does not appear to be an improvised explosive device. So we're not looking at something like a homemade firework or a homemade pipe bomb, but some other kind of explosive. This was not a training incident that was going on. These were 3 deputies. We now confirm that they are all men. They were part of the elite arson and explosives unit. And for some reason, they were handling that explosive material possibly to take it for disposal at this facility. Now, the members of this team that were killed, they were described as being very respected members of this department. Usually the elite arson and explosives unit are senior members of LA County sheriffs and very accomplished. And there is the possibility that there is more of that explosive material near that bomb squad truck where this incident happened this morning. That is why we are seeing such careful behavior from LA County Sheriff's deputies and federal investigators down there, because they are unsure if there is more explosive material in there. Now, I want to show you some video that was shot a little bit earlier with SkyCal. This is of the very emotional moments when LA County Sheriff's deputies embraced each other upon learning that 3 of the deputies here had died in this explosion. But now we know that the FBI and the ATF have agents on scene, including possibly this example from the bomb squad, using that very heavily armored gear to approach that LA County Sheriff's bomb squad truck that you see there. That is the focus of the investigation. Now, the bodies of the 3 deputies are on the opposite side of that truck. They are only partially covered. They have not been moved yet. And that bomb squad technician there doing a very careful analysis of that truck, looking for more evidence of any explosive material. Investigators cannot approach this scene and do any kind of an examination until they know that it is safe. And based on information that LA County sheriffs have, is that they cannot do that until the scene is clear. Now, you can see that bomb squad technician did return to the command post, and it looks like he is giving a debrief here. Now, federal investigators are going to be the one that could very likely take this over to avoid any conflict of interest, because this is LA County Sheriff's deputies who have died. They may not want LA County Sheriff's Department to investigate the death of their own officers. Now, if you come out to my screen, I'm going to give you an example and show you where this is happening and the size of this campus. So what we're looking at here is the northern part of East LA. This is the 10 freeway and the 710 freeway, and the facility we're talking about is right here, the Biscailuz training facility for LA County Sheriffs. This is a lot of first responders have offices here. LA County Fire Headquarters is here. This is LA County Fire Station Headquarters. LA County Fire Station 1 is right there. And then the explosion happened in this parking lot. And I'm going to zoom in and show you. We've been seeing this with SkyCal. So we know that the truck, the bomb squad truck, was parked right about here. The bodies of the deputies are in this zone right here, this triangular zone. They're quite far from the bomb squad truck, and they're separated by 10 or 15 feet. So this blast, very, very powerful. We also know that there was an LA County Sheriff's Patrol vehicle here with the back window that's broken out. We did not see any damage to the rear here in this area, so we do believe that the blast was focused in this direction. And of course, all 3 of those deputies died. Their bodies are still there, and they can't be moved by the LA Medical Examiner's Office until the federal investigation is complete. The scene is secure and the evidence is secure, and of course, the scene is safe to enter, and that could take hours into the afternoon until they get that secured. That is the very latest here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
Well, Mark, a lot of new information to process there, and definitely changes what we were assuming about this incident. Thank you so much. We're getting more reaction into this tragic incident. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department issued a statement that reads in part, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department extends our deepest prayers and unwavering support to our brothers and sisters at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department following today's tragic incident. Our hearts go out to our brothers and sisters at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, to friends, family, and co-workers of those affected, and to those who lost their lives and those who were injured. There are no words that can ease your pain. However, know that we stand beside you. Everyone impacted by today's incident is in our thoughts and prayers. In this time of sorrow and uncertainty, please know you are not alone. We stand with you, offering strength, compassion, and heartfelt solidarity today, tomorrow, and always. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department released a statement saying, our hearts are heavy as we mourn alongside our brothers and sisters of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department on the loss of 3 deputies who tragically lost their lives this morning. Prayers for family, friends, and the entire Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Just shows how emotional, of course, all of these law enforcement officials are feeling at the loss of 3 sheriff's deputies this morning. We are joined now by Rich Dardino, who is the Fulton County Sheriff in New York. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. First of all, my agency, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, the members of my agency, sending our thoughts and prayers to the families, the friends, and our colleagues in Los Angeles Sheriff's Department on the loss of 3 members this morning. That's the first part. And I want to tell you, Mark did a very good job of summarizing what information I have gathered to date as well.
Wonderful. So yeah, Mark did just tell us that this is not a training accident, which is what we've been assuming for the past few hours. What are you making of all the information you've seen over the past few hours and Mark's latest update? What is your read on this situation?
Well, I first got to start because law enforcement job is very dangerous for all of us, wherever you are, rural, cities, whether you're in the arson bomb squad or SWAT or regular patrol. But this is extremely dangerous, the bomb squad, arson squad, because they're dealing with unknowns. So every day they're collecting threatened things that could be improvised explosive devices, old ordinances from military like hand grenades and things of that nature. So in this particular case, there several sources have confirmed that it was ordnance that was recovered yesterday or overnight, and they were bringing it back to their offices. Destruction probably. So what happens is the older an ordnance is, the older a hand grenade or a bomb from a war or an improvised device, the more susceptible it is to easy triggers, meaning sensitivity, hitting a bump with the vehicle. So this truly is a tragedy. All the agencies are involved because when something like this happens, especially multiple deaths at one time of law enforcement, we treat it like a homicide and we work backwards. And the reason we do that is we don't want to treat it as something as a training accident for suggesting it's a training accident until we know for sure what it is. But we want to treat it like we would be a crime scene. That's why, unfortunately, they're at the scene until the law enforcement's done with their investigation at the scene. And it sounds like it was a routine, and again, nothing's routine, but it sounds like it was routine recovery of ordinances, and they were getting ready to review those. And again, it's hard to second guess what's going on without more information. I think a 3 p.m. press conference your time will tell us a lot.
Yeah.
I do think that having multiple agencies work together, you have all those resources gathered, and wherever this device came from, within 24 hours, they're going to have a pretty good reading on whether it was just an old ordinance that had been left around or whether it was something that was built to injure the public or law enforcement. We'll know the design. But this incident itself seems, from what we know so far, to have been an accidental explosion of the ordinance, which can happen in a variety of ways.
Yeah, you keep stressing that this was routine. Of course, them handling explosive material, possibly explosive material. What could have possibly gone wrong here then?
Well, like I say, a lot of it's going to depend on the age of the ordinance, and a lot's going to depend on the triggers. Unfortunately, we're a society that watches movies and television, and it's not like that. There's not in most devices, there's not a clock or you cut the wrong wire and something's going to happen. And usually, depending on the size of it, the bomb squads are trained to put them into containers that if they do discharge, they're not going to be able to hurt other individuals or others. And so this leads me to believe that there was some powerful material inside of that. So when it did explode, it did a lot of damage. And again, the only thing I can really tell you about it is that the older the device, the easier it is to self-trigger. And then it hits an age where nothing, even if it goes off, it won't do any damage. But right now, until we get more at this press conference, I want to be cautious to what I say because I don't want to speak out of ignorance. I can just tell you the scenario is that, and it sounds realistic, that they picked up the ordinance overnight or yesterday. They go out routinely, and they brought it back to the station. And we're getting ready to remove it from the vehicle, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
It's occurred.
As you've been saying, we are waiting for that press conference any moment now, but I do appreciate you giving us some context because I think for the general public, we're not as well informed about these things. So talk more. You keep saying ordnance. Is that a potential explosive device? Is that an explosive device? What exactly does that refer to?
Well, that's a general term we use for a potentially explosive device.
Okay.
And you think of it in military terms, ordnance and bombs, rockets, hand grenades, improvised devices. And again, this is a very difficult job. I mean, you have to be sharp every minute and every second that you're working with these items. And these guys and ladies, unfortunately, it sounded like they're 3 males who are deceased, but the individuals who do these jobs are very keen. They're the people you want who are, attention to detail is critical. They try to limit the risk taking. They try to limit the exposure to other items that could trigger it. So we call it ordnance. That's an explosive device or potentially explosive device because we don't always know. We get more across this country. We get more false reports. We stopped a vehicle the other day and it did have a homemade pipe bomb in our county. And we're a rural county in upstate New York. So things of that nature show you that it can happen anywhere, and we treat it. You have to treat it like it's hot, and when I say hot, I mean that it's potential to be exploded. And we call in the state police or the bombs or another bomb squad. We're a rural area, so we don't have a bomb squad attached to our agency. So we rely on the state police. They will send somebody. Department of Defense may send a team to look and capture what we have. We usually back off, leave it there till the experts get on scene. So again, I do use the phrase ordnance. That's how we refer to it in general terms. And then within there's a subcategory of hand grenades.
Got it. Rich, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but that press conference we have been waiting on, LA County Sheriff Robert Luna is about to speak now, so let's tune into that. He and other officials speaking on this tragedy.
Well, good morning to everybody, and I want to thank you for being here, and your patience in waiting for us. We've been very busy, as you can imagine, over the last several hours. I'll be the only one speaking today, and I'll be answering your questions after I speak. But if you look around me, the team that I have, that I'm surrounded by, members of the board, my partner, Jim McDonald from the LAPD, Tony Maroney from LA County Fire, CHP. I could go on, and I'll talk about some of that as we go on. So it is somewhat of a beautiful day today weather-wise, but there's definitely a black cloud hanging over the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and our county family. This morning, shortly after 7:30 a.m., an explosion occurred at our Special Enforcement Bureau, arson explosives detail facility located in the 1000 block of Northeastern Avenue in East Los Angeles, which is right behind this hill. Tragically, there were 3 sworn members who were fatally killed that were assigned to our arson explosives detail. No other department members were injured or transported to any hospitals. This is, unfortunately, the largest loss of life for us as the LA County Sheriff's Department since 1857. Between all 3 sworn members, they had served our community proudly for 74 years, and that's amongst all 3 of them collectively. 19 years, 22 years, and 33 years. And at this point, we are not giving out their names. One of the reasons it took me a while to get out here, one of my priorities is the families of our deputies. And I've met with several of them this morning. There are still others who are on their way. There are others who have not been notified. The last thing I want to do is them to turn on the news and find out that way. So thank you for respecting that at this point. My second priority were our employees. Our employees are hurting right now. Members of our Special Enforcement Bureau, other members of our arson detail as well, arson explosives detail. In regards to the details of what happened, I'm going to give you what I have right now. There's a lot more that we don't know than what we do know. But our intent is to look at this from the very beginning and figure out what is it exactly that caused this tragic event. Currently, our homicide detectives are on scene. and they are investigating the deaths that are we are being assisted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who are investigating the post-blast portion of this incident. You have seen other vehicles other than FBI. You've seen the ATF here. They will be assisting the FBI as well. I am very grateful to the bomb squad of the Los Angeles Police Department. And I mentioned Chief Jim McDonald standing behind me here. They immediately came out to assist after this explosion occurred to render the devices safe. And just so all of you know, they were just rendered safe within the last minutes, right before we walked out here. So it was still an active scene. It wasn't stable, and definitely a very active scene as we go forward. At this time, we do not know the cause of the explosion. However, the Pacific area has been closed off due to the ongoing investigation. We believe there is no threat to this community. Actually, I could tell you there is no threat to this community. This is an isolated incident. And again, no threats. We have road closures, Eastern Boulevard between Blatchard Street and Lotta Drive. And again, I do want to thank all of our local partners, our local elected officials that are here to help us get through this very difficult time. We have our Psychological Services Bureau personnel on scene that are assisting our employees at this moment, along with peer counseling and chaplain services. And as I said earlier, I have met with 2 of the 3 families thus far. And as you can imagine, those were extremely challenging conversations. So anyways, ready for questions. Those are all good questions that Pete just asked. Now that the investigation has started, now that the investigators can actually get in to the scene that it was just rendered safe, we will be able to answer all those questions. Too early right now to be able to answer that.
Were there other military style or military grade explosives nearby that were rendered safe by the LASD?
We will know that hopefully in the next couple of hours.
Sir, were they moving these explosives from one place to another? Were they investigating existing explosives already in the facility? And what were they doing?
All these questions are really good questions, and they're the questions that we have as well. The investigation is just about to get started on all this, and these are all the questions that we're going to want answers to, and we'll get them. But simply, right now, I wanted to get out here. I know all of you had been waiting for a while. I'm giving you the information I have, and we're not there yet. Thank you.
Can you say something in Spanish for us, please?
Let's wait for the English, and then we'll do the Spanish afterward, if that's okay.
Sure. Are you able to say this? We heard that someone was injured as well and taken to the hospital. Are you able to say the status?
Earlier, we had 3 fatalities of our employees, which I call heroes. They're very heroic in the work that they do. We had no other injuries other than the 3 fatalities. And just so all of you know, the members of this team, I've heard over and over the word elite being used. I think sometimes that term gets overused. But if you're familiar with our Special Enforcement Bureau, they're the best of the best. And the individuals who work our arson explosives detail, they have years of training. And these members, usually the average calls that they go to in dealing with some very dangerous situations or items average about 1,100 per year. So these aren't people who don't do this very often. They are fantastic experts. And unfortunately, I lost 3 of them today.
Sheriff, regarding what happened here, why was the materials crossed out? It's a possibility that they
Those are all questions, Pete, that we're going to get to. We need to go from A to Z to know exactly what happened. That's why we have our partners here from the Federal Bureau of Investigation that will be conducting the post-blast. There'll be a lot of details coming out there eventually. ATF is here to assist them, the National Response Team. These are individuals that have a lot of expertise in what they do. And again, all the questions being asked, very good questions. But if I waited to get the answers to those, I'd be here probably in 2 days. And I'm just trying to get out here in front of all of you. The question is, are we anticipating a procession for our 3 heroic deputies who passed away? And the answer to that is yes. There will be a procession. I don't have any specific information on that, but it'll happen the next several hours.
Sheriff, we understand that you're still gathering information, but perhaps because of the nature of what we're dealing with, the laws and everything, can you tell us a little bit about the vehicle that you're driving, or anything at all that you did, any kind of preliminary investigation? Because, as you have said, you guys know when there's preliminary incredibly careful. So this seems to be something completely out of your case.
I don't have the answers to those questions yet. And again, getting out here, trying to be out here at this time to inform all of you, our community, to know what we know at this time was very important. Again, all of you are amazing. You're asking very important questions, and we're going to get the answers, I think, to, if not everything, to most of them, but we just simply don't have that information at this time. There is currently an investigation going on to determine what happened from the very beginning to the end. I know everybody wants answers. Please understand, we just rendered the scene safe. Within the last 30 minutes, the LAPD bomb squad rendered the scene safe. We have to go back, investigate what happened from the very beginning, and we'll get there. Just not going to happen this soon. I would be very irresponsible to try and answer a lot of these questions without the information that I need to positively give you facts, and I don't have the facts at this point.
Sheriff, we understand that you're telling us everything you can tell us, and we understand we got to wait. By when, roughly, you think you can have another press conference to tell us more information?
We'll, through our Sheriff's Information Bureau, we'll put something out in the next couple of hours of when we would have more information. But I'm going to tell you right now, based on my experience, when we're conducting these type of investigations, it doesn't take hours to get some of this information. It takes days and weeks. We do not rush this investigation. We want to make sure that we're extremely thorough. Ladies and gentlemen, we lost 3 lives, and we want to make sure we know what happened. We don't want to repeat for this. And again, all the questions that are being asked are very legitimate. There are other law enforcement agencies who have bomb techs, not only around the country, around the world, that want to know what happened here. So we want to make sure that no one else, we don't repeat this, right? So thorough investigation will be done by multiple agencies, and we'll get back to you about it. It sounds like everything is repeat questions about the incident. I can't answer any of those right now because we don't have those facts yet. So with that, thank you all, and then we'll keep you updated on any progress on anything else. Appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you.
Hello and welcome to KCAL News at noon. I'm Amy Johnson. You've been listening to LA County Sheriff Robert Luna discuss the tragic incident that happened this morning around 7:30 at the East LA training facility. 3 deputies were killed this morning. What we have learned is that all 3 were sworn members, that they were part of the arson explosive detail. This is the largest loss of life since 1857. All 3 of those people that were killed had a combined level of experience of 74 years served. One had served 19 years, another 22 years, and another 33 years on the force. The sheriff did not release their names just yet, but right now he is saying that this was an isolated incident. There is no threat to that area right now, and it has just been deemed safe. Our Rick Montanez has been covering this story all morning, and he is standing by now with more morning's tragic incident. Rick.
Amy, you know, we just learned quite a bit of information. We also learned that there is still a lot of information that the Sheriff's Department, that investigators are trying to sort through. We are still seeing more law enforcement arrive here to this Sheriff's Office facility. We're across the street from where that news conference was happening, where the sheriff was speaking. He was surrounded by LA County Supervisors Hilda Solis, Catherine Barger, LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, and several other local leaders who were here in support. And significantly, him pointing out that this is the largest loss of life, as Amy just mentioned, in decades. And so it is difficult to really understand. Up the street from us is where that facility is. He said, the sheriff said, before he came out to speak with us, is when they deemed the area safe. So they are just now getting into where they can begin investigating. So what caused the explosion? The sheriff says they don't know that yet. They're still trying to figure out a lot of information. We've been out here talking with some people who heard the blast this morning. We've also heard from people who live nearby, and I believe we may have a piece of an interview from one of those neighbors.
I'm so sad about them because they are my neighbors and they're like a very good guys. And the other way, like, I don't know what they're doing over there. Like, it's worrying me for my property. No, I feel so sad for them, but yeah, worry me too because I don't know what they're doing over there. It's like, yeah, I live next to them. It's like, yeah, it's too many things happen in this city and right now this one. But yeah, the more important thing is those guys over there.
And the three men, those deputies who died in this morning's explosion, they have not been identified by the sheriff. He just told us a short time ago he's only been able to meet with 2 of the 3 families, and that right now, in addition to the investigation, is what is most important, to take care of those families of those 3 fallen sheriff's deputies. So the sheriff says he is waiting on releasing their names and more about the work that they've done within the sheriff's department, each of them serving for a considerable number of years and then advancing to this highly elite squad, the Special Enforcement Bureau, here with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Difficult, Amy, I also want to point out, as we heard the sheriff speaking, listening to him fight back those tears, this is a very difficult day, not only for the LA County Sheriff's Department, for this special unit, their families, of course, the entire community really feeling this major loss of life. The investigation just getting underway. Of course, we'll keep you posted as we learn more information. Live in East LA, Rick Montanez, KCAL News.
All right, great job out there, Rick. We appreciate that. Let's continue our live team coverage. Reporter Amanda Starantino on the investigation. Amanda.
So we are right outside the facility here on Sheriff's Road in Eastern, where that press conference did just wrap up. Rick is just right across the way from us right here. And right behind me, you can see a bunch of sheriff's deputies gathering along with our supervisors, Catherine Barger, right there. And also I see some of our homicide investigators that we work with pretty much on a daily basis throughout the area, also in this crowd here as well. So they are part of this investigation that we are watching. And it's been a very emotional day with so many different units involved. LAPD just saying that this area is now deemed safe where that explosion did happen. Now, when you come to talking about just who was involved with this, these families, they're still finding out this information. As Rick just said, only 2 out of the 3 families have spoken with Sheriff Luna at this point. I actually just spoke with the ALADS president. That's the Sheriff's Union. He is working on talking with those families. He's working on coming out here to discuss some of those conversations with us as well. But a very heavy day here. But what we've been seeing coming into the facility here is the different investigators that will be involved in this. We're going to have different agencies, so it's not just going to be LASD over here. We also have, as you heard, LAPD was here. The fire department was also here. Their county headquarter facility is right down the street, so they were able to respond very quickly because they also have a station right here as well. And then we've seen the FBI FBI also coming in. So Sheriff Luna just said that the FBI is handling the post-explosion part of this investigation, and they are being assisted by the ATF. So we are watching those units still come in here. The area, again, just deemed safe. Not a lot of answers as to what exactly happened in this incident at 7:30 when that device that they were working with did explode. Sheriff Luna was not able to give us any of that information. He said that it will take some time. Regarding those bodies that are still there, obviously a very sensitive scene still on the property. He wasn't able to give any information about a possible procession as that investigation is ongoing. But here on the scene, a very sad day for deputies. I've heard from several of them that know who passed away, and they're heartbroken. Morale is very low within the department already, just with everything they've been experiencing, and this obviously does not add to that. It's a heartbreaking situation, and you can definitely see that with the department right here. We're going to go over and speak with Supervisor Catherine Barger, and then I'll get back to you guys.
Amanda, thank you for that, and we'll be checking back in with her a little later. We see that they are, Amanda and the other journalists now going to get that interview now with Catherine Barger. So we will check back in with her in just a moment.
They're hurting. This is embarrassing.
Let's now go to our Jasmine Veal. She is continuing our team coverage of today's deadly explosion. She spoke with a neighbor who lives nearby. Jasmine, this blast was felt quite a distance.
Yeah, by those who heard it, Amy. So I'm even working on getting you new sound in the next few seconds from another woman who heard it. She thought it was fireworks, and it wasn't until she heard the helicopters and saw a whole line of sheriff deputies zooming down this street that she realized something tragic and bad had happened. She said it was so frightening and now just heartbroken to hear that these members of the arson explosive unit, these experts, were killed in this blast. And you heard minutes ago from the sheriff himself, Robert Luna, speaking, surrounded by those law enforcement agencies. He talked about how they just rendered the scene safe here by the LAPD bomb squad. I'm at the corner of Eastern Avenue and Lotta Drive. We have walked around this entire hilly neighborhood talking to anyone we could. And surprisingly, even though those neighbors who did hear this massive blast, one man describing it like an earthquake, a lot of them said they didn't hear it at all. Maybe it was muffled. It didn't wake them up. They're used to hearing fireworks here. They're familiar with the training facility, that there's a shooting range there. But, I guess you just had to be alert and aware enough that this had happened and to hear this explosive blast that, happened really just down the street from where they all live. The sheriff also talked about these 3 sheriff arson explosive experts killed in this, with the average handling of 1,100 explosive items a year. These were experts. Sheriff Luna, are you guys able to say anything? I'm looking at some of the sheriff department employees here waiting to get in. I'm just checking as people drive through. They're trying to get to the scene now that it's been just rendered safe. Are you able to say anything to KCAL CBS here? Are you able to say anything? We're live here on CBS KCAL. Are you able to just say anything? We just heard from Sheriff Luna.
Can we 1 second?
Yeah, okay. Let him collect himself. Hoping to speak to someone with the Sheriff's Department in just a second here. But again, Sheriff Luna saying that he spoke to 2 of the families of these arson explosive experts. That's why it took him so long to get out here to address the media to talk about what happened. But again, not giving much details onto where these explosives might have come from. Were they bringing them in from somewhere else? What these kind of materials were that they were handling. No one else was injured. They do not think there is any further threat to this community. But again, the largest loss of life to the LA County Sheriff's Department since 1857. And collectively, these men killed. They had, 70, I think you said it, Amy, 74 years of experience here. Yes, sir. Oh, you are? Well, we'll talk to you first. He's heading to our other reporter, Amanda Starantino. What's your name, sir?
Rich Pippin. I'm the president for the Association for Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs.
Okay, well, thank you for the time. We heard from the sheriff himself. Do we know anything more about where these explosives were coming from?
I don't have those details. What we do know is these guys were doing work that they routinely do on a day in and day out basis. It really just highlights the dangers of the job. This is something I don't think anybody ever would have heard of if it weren't for the tragic loss of life. And now, sadly, we're looking at what might be the worst day in department history in terms of loss of life. So, yeah, we're reeling. It's a tough day for all our people.
So sorry, and community members showing up just heartbroken to hear this.
Well, to all of them.
Have you spoken to the family members at all? of these arson experts.
So then I can just say to the people in the communities and to other people we work with, elected officials and everybody, thank you. The outpouring of support and condolences, it means a lot, right? Because this is unfortunately, this happens too often in our profession. It doesn't make it easier. It's no less difficult. It's pretty tough. Both these guys with me worked with people that we lost today, our brothers, and it's one of the saddest days of my 35 years in the department.
These men with collective 74 years of experience and who they were?
Well, they work our arson explosive detail. That means they're some of our best and brightest that we've lost today, unfortunately.
Were they bringing in explosives in that truck that we saw?
Those details I just don't have.
You don't even have those yet. I know we heard that they were dealing with something that they had picked up and trying to take back here to the facility.
Yeah, that kind of detail we don't have yet. We just know they were doing work that they routinely do, that they're very good at, and we know it shouldn't have happened, and that we're left without three of our best this morning is all we really know right now. No.
Thank you. I'm so sorry for your loss. I want to get to some neighbors' reaction. One woman, I think we have her describing what she heard this morning. Take a listen.
Well, I was asleep, and then around maybe around 7:20, 7:30, around that time, I heard like an echo sound, but it was, kind of from far. So then I heard, but it was like a boom, but you could hear it like when the moving trucks come in, and they open the trailer in the back and it just hits and like that, boom. And I was like, I woke up and I was thinking, wait a minute. I was like, oh, probably, 4th of July just passed. People are just messing around, setting off the noises. So I didn't think nothing of it until after later on, I started to hear all the cops and helicopters, and then I hear them stopping here, and I was like, oh, what's going on? So then my daughter and everyone were all starting to wake up and look outside, get up out here. And then we heard about that there was an accident, an explosion out here. So we're thinking, oh man, if it was an accident, what if something else could possibly go off, by accident, or that they don't know that they have up there? So that's scary to be, to just live so close by, because, we're like right here in the center of it. So it's scary.
It is scary, and the FBI, ATF, helping the LA County Sheriff's Department investigate this, a tragedy that has left this community, this county, reeling. Live here in East LA, Jasmine, VLKCal News.
All right, Jasmine, great work out there. Thank you. And of course, we will continue our coverage of this morning's tragedy after the break. Assignment Manager Mark Liu will share what he has uncovered at the desk. Stay with us. And we continue to follow the breaking news. 3 members of the LA County Sheriff's Department killed this morning when some type of explosive ignited there. Assignment Manager Mark Liu has been tracking the story at the desk all morning. Mark, what can you tell us about this explosion?
Well, I'll tell you, CBS News has now learned and confirmed through 2 senior law enforcement officials in Los Angeles that were briefed on this investigation that the material that exploded today that killed those 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies was recovered yesterday at some time, and that it did not appear to be an improvised explosive device. So not a homemade bomb like a pipe bomb or homemade fireworks. It was something else, something very powerful, and that this does not appear to be a training accident. Now, we just heard from Sheriff Luna that they only recently made the scene safe for investigators. Let me show you some video of them doing that. This is SkyCal overhead in the 10 o'clock hour, and a member of the bomb squad there, fully dressed in that heavily armored gear, approaching that LA County Sheriff's bomb squad truck at this training facility, the Biscailuz training facility in the East LA area. This was a very careful and deliberate operation to survey the scene here, looking for any other explosive devices. Now, at the time, there was just a single bomb squad tech made an entire orbit around that bomb squad truck that is the focus of the investigation. The body of those 3 deputies, the bodies of those deputies are on the other side of that truck. They are only partially covered, so that's why we're not showing you any video. Now, after completing their investigation, that bomb squad tech did return to the command post and gave a debrief. And then later in the afternoon, we did see more and more members of the bomb squad approach that van wearing less and less gear, which was an indication that they were getting much more comfortable, that there were no longer any explosive threats near that bomb squad truck. And we just heard from Sheriff Luna himself that they have now rendered it safe. This is an example of a bomb squad member that did not have really that much gear on, looking under some of the LA County Sheriff's deputies' vehicles that were near the blast site, including one that had its back window blown out. Very likely that member of the team there looking for any pieces of whatever it is that exploded. It may have gone quite far, maybe 50, 60 feet from the explosion site. If you come out to my screen, I'm going to show you on the map where this is happening and give you a better idea of what we're looking at. So there's downtown Los Angeles, and I'm going to zoom in on the training facility here at the corner of the 10 and the 710. These are the 2 major landmarks there, the freeways. And I'm going to zoom in and give you an idea of where on the facility this happened. It was this right here, this parking lot, which is where many of the vehicles involved in the LA County Sheriff's Department training facility sit. And the bomb squad truck was sitting right about here. Now, the bodies of the deputies are in this cone, some of them quite far away, as much as maybe 40 or 50 feet away from that bomb squad truck. And that blasted out back window of the sheriff's vehicle, it's right about there. Now, SkyCal did not see any evidence of any damage in the back part of the parking lot, so it appears that the blast was focused in this direction. Now, the FBI and the ATF, they're going to continue to investigate what caused that blast, but whatever it was very, very powerful. And the federal investigation here very likely is going to take the lead because they don't want a conflict of interest between sheriff's deputies being killed and then the sheriff's department investigating their own. That's why the FBI and the ATF are there. That's the very latest here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Mark. And these 3 sworn members of the arson explosive detail had a combined 74 years of experience. One with 19 years, one with 22 years, and one with 33 years. So they did have the experience. And so it will be, certainly interesting to find out what happened in this situation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're very experienced members. So it's really very tragic for the department to lose these 3 deputies. Obviously, they have been with the department very, very long time, almost 75 years, you said. So this will be a major investigation.
All right, Mark, thank you. And be sure to stay with KCAL News throughout the day for the latest updates on the deadly explosion at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department training facility in East Los Angeles. Well, it was a rainy and muggy morning in parts of Southern California. This is video from Corona del Mar from about 8 o'clock this morning. You could see light rain falling there. KCAL News meteorologist Paul Diano joining us now with your next weather forecast. Paul.
Amy, we have ourselves new thunderstorms bubbling up. We have more than 150 lightning strikes overnight and early this morning in the Inland Empire in Orange County. That's gone.
But we have new thunderstorms bubbling up now over both the San Bernardinos and the San Gabriels. So we're going to zoom in and show you what's happening in and around Big Bear. We've had about a dozen lightning strikes over the past hour. New thunderstorms developing. They're moving from east to west, basically moving along the spine of the mountains themselves. And so much rain has fallen in a short amount of time. This whole area shaded in blue, basically from Running Springs all the way along the 18 to Big Bear. Under flash flood warning until 2 o'clock. We've seen already a half of an inch of rain in a couple spots, and more rain obviously is coming. In the San Gabriels, if you're watching us in Arcadia or Pasadena, you look up toward the mountains, it's getting dark up there. There's a good vertical build to the cloud cover. New showers and soon-to-be thunderstorms are developing in this spot to the west of Wrightwood and just to the north of Arcadia. As of now, they're staying in the mountains, but any thunderstorm that develops there, we have to look to see if they move toward the Antelope Valley or if they come back toward the 210 corridor in inland Los Angeles County. All of that said, at coastal LA County, you would have no idea what's going on in the mountains because it is a beautiful, sunny, mild day in Santa Monica. But we take you up to the San Bernardinos, and just off stage right, we are seeing the thunderstorms develop, and you can see the vertical build to the clouds from Blue Ridge Mountain. Visible satellite snapshot. There's the thunderstorms. New thunderstorms likely developing over the San Gabriels, and I'm watching the direction that the clouds are moving. They likely will build toward you in Victorville, so heads up Lake Los Angeles and Victorville, the eastern half of the Antelope Valley. I think some of that thunderstorm or rain activity may be heading toward you. With lots of sunshine around Los Angeles at 77, Simi Valley 78, Santa Clarita 93. But over toward Big Bear, it is a rain-cooled 66, and it's 76 in Santa Ana. You had some rain this morning. So why the rain chance? First time this month. We went 0 for 17, and now on July 18th, we're getting rain. Why? Tropical moisture. That's pretty much the only way we're going to get rainfall this time of year. We have a low-pressure area off the coast of Baja California. That is bringing up some humid and unstable air. You're likely noticing the stickiness increasing out there. Over the past couple days, well, now there's enough juice in the atmosphere to give us these scattered thunderstorms. Your high temperatures today, 79 for the metro area, 91 for our valleys. Highest chances of seeing a thunderstorm would be the foothills of the Inland Empire, the high desert, and of course our mountains, where highs there will only be in the mid-70s. So watching the radar this afternoon and this evening as well, as thunderstorms are building over the mountains right now. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much. Well, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert canceled. Why its run is coming to an end next year.